What is good, everybody, man? Welcome to the Talking Sports with Manny YouTube channel. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk fantasy starts in 6. We're going to preview the Thursday night game if we have time. And we're going to talk about some possibilities of some trades that you can make that can help your team be successful and get back into the playoff hunt, possibly to win your championship. So without further ado, I'm going to run my intro, and we'll go ahead and get started. Yeah, man. So a lot happened in week 10. I was actually recording a week 10 video, but got busy and never finished it. But those that are members of the channel will have access to that video. So we're talking week 10 of the fantasy football season, week 10 of the NFL season. Can you guys believe that there's 8 more weeks to this thing? 9 more weeks. So I'm going to share my screen, and I got some interesting numbers to break down, some interesting stats to break down. So give me a moment to share my screen, and we'll go ahead and break all this down. So I follow Nick a lot, okay? Nick is a beast. Just one of my guys. And he produces top-tier, top-notch content. So you guys make sure you guys follow P2W Fantasy on Twitter. Great guy. So while looking at the stats that he provided, you see that Tom Brady is the QB1 right now in fantasy football. And to me, it's amazing. To me, it's crazy because I was not expecting a Tom Brady to be QB1 right now, currently. You have Lamar Jackson. So all these Russian quarterbacks, Tom Brady is beating all these guys because he's passing for a lot of touchdowns. He's passing for a lot of yards, and he keeps his interception numbers very low. You see Matthew Stafford in at number 4, Josh Allen 5, Mahomes is 6. Mahomes is a guy that plenty of us were thinking was going to be the, bona fide QB1. He hasn't been that. He has not been that. And it's very upsetting for those of us who drafted Mahomes rather high. Justin Herbert has been solid 7. Kyler Murray should have been higher, but because of injuries, he's in at number 8 right now. Joe Burrow, Carson Wentz has been tearing it up past few weeks. You see that he's only averaging 18 points a game right now, but the last 4 weeks, he's averaging over 20-plus points a game, somewhere in the high 25s a game. So I'm going to rock with Carson Wentz one more time this week versus the Jags. You see Kirk Cousins in at number 11, Ryan Tannehill at 12. So those round up your QB1s. And then the QB2s, some guys that I think that are going to end up being QB1s when it's all said and done, when the dust settles. Obviously, you have Aaron Rodgers out there. You got Dak Prescott. You know what I'm saying? Those are 2 guys that I feel could possibly be QB1s when it's all said and done. Not the QB1, but QB1s overall. Got Daniel Jones, Matt Ryan, Taylor Heineke. All these different guys are streamable, but they're not, top 15 quarterbacks, so to speak. Oh man, I'm on mute. My bad, guys. So I was saying that I will not trade away DJ Moore until I see him play for at least one more week. Let's see what it looks like with PJ Walker. Okay, Sam Darnold is out. I get all that, but at the end of the day, DJ Moore might still be very good. He does get a lot of targets. He commands a lot of targets. And if you're looking at the wide receiver groups, the top 24 guys, DJ Moore is still wide receiver number 11, even after weeks and weeks and weeks of inconsistency. So, I mean, it's something to really, think about. So if you're getting Smith and Julio, I'm guessing you're talking about Smith from the Eagles, right? So, I mean, I don't know. It says start one, Bateman or Devonte Smith. I'm starting Bateman. Every week I've come on here the last 3 weeks saying that it's going to be the Bateman show. It's going to be the Bateman breakout game. I think this season is actually going to be the Bateman breakout game, to be honest. Like, I think it's time. It's time. So I'm going to rock with Bateman one more week. If he can't get it done Thursday night versus the lowly Miami Dolphins, then hey, then I'm done with Bateman. But yeah, I'm rocking with Bateman one more time. Back to the quarterbacks. You see guys like Trevor Lawrence. You see some of these rookies at the end of that 24 man list. Some of these young rookies are going to be able to do something, man. This week you're talking about DJ Moore or Waddle. I will go Waddle just because Waddle is going to command more targets. Yeah, that's Waddle for sure. That's an easy one. So what is the status on Stafford? Do I need a backup quarterback like Wentz? If Wentz is out there, you go grab Wentz. I don't know what's going to happen with Stafford. I think Stafford is fine, but it would be good to have Wentz for sure. Yeah, I would go Wentz for sure as a backup just in case Stafford can't play. Yeah, Wentz has been amazing. I talked about Wentz right now. He's QB 10 currently. Looking at the running backs, even though the Derrick Henry is out, he's going to be RB1 for a while. He'll probably be RB1 for one more week. Unless Jonathan Taylor, knock on wood, gets hurt, Derrick Henry is going to be RB. I think that Derrick Henry possibly finishes as a top 12 running back, even if he doesn't play another down this season. That's a bold prediction. I mean, just look at the gap in points. Derrick Henry right now is at 193 points, and the RB12 is at 131 points. So you're talking about 60-plus points. Could be wrong, but let's see what happens. I like Eno from the Cards. Eno is nice, but we don't know what his role is going to be. So temper expectations on Eno. He was a hot waiver wire pick this week. So I don't know. I like Eno. I have him stashed in dynasty leagues, but if you're talking about a 10-man league, 12-man league, I would stay away unless you have space to stash. I mean, James Conner was used crazy. I mean, the way that James Conner was used last week was crazy. This guy was receiving passes. This guy was like, we all know that James Conner leads the league in rushing touchdowns possibly total. So he's averaging 14.7 points a game. Obviously, his workload is going to go up as the number one running back in an offense that didn't feature Kyler Murray last week. So you have to also temper expectations. If DeAndre Hopkins is healthy, he's going to command the ball. So I'm not expecting James Conner to go off for 100 yards, 2 touchdowns every game. No. But if they are in goal line situations, James Conner should receive all the goal line work, even with Eno Benjamin being available. You look at Jonathan Taylor. He is hot right now. I mean, he is going to be the next Derrick Henry. Like, I just see that happening. Austin Eckler, Najee Harris, those are all guys that have been consistent all year round. Joe Mixon. I'm not a Joe Mixon fan, but he has been pretty good. So, that's that. You have Aaron Jones. You have DeAndre Carter, who is he's been consistent, but Jared Goff really scares me. So I really don't know what to expect out of Jared Goff moving forward, to be honest. But, DeAndre Swift has shown that he's almost quarterback proof. You know what I'm saying? So we're definitely going to see what happens with DeAndre Swift moving forward. 12-man. Do I pick up Ridley and put him on the IR? It's worth a shot. Why not? If you have an IR spot available, yeah, you pick up Ridley. Yeah, you stash him because you don't know when he's coming back. I think he's done for the year, but who knows? Maybe he comes back sometime this year and could possibly help you during your fantasy playoffs. Now, you have to remember, even though that Ridley has been, healthy, whatever, throughout the season, if you're looking at the top 24 wide receivers right now, you don't see Ridley's name up there. You know what I'm saying? Even when Ridley was available, he didn't produce top-tier numbers. In one of my leagues, Dynasty League, Crazy League, 10-man league, I guess the guy ran out of bench spaces, and he dropped Hollywood Brown. So I put in my claim for Hollywood Brown because he's the number 6 wide receiver right now in fantasy football. Deebo Samuel is in at number 4, but I don't know if Deebo Samuel remains that number 4 wide receiver as the season goes on. Couple of guys that I like this week. I like Mike Evans a lot this week versus the Washington football team. There's reports that Chris Godwin might not play. So if Chris Godwin doesn't play, you have Tyler Johnson. You have a whole bunch of nobodies, respectively speaking. Mike Evans can have a monster day, and we don't know what's going on with Gronkowski right now. So you can expect a healthy target of 15 targets going to Mike Evans this week. DK Metcalf should be on the rise. He's at wide receiver 8 right now. But also, we remember Russell Wilson is coming back. He's going to be playing at Green Bay. Temper your expectations. He's not a guy that I'm going to necessarily just go, oh, he's going to be the best, wide receiver this week. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is with a Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf stock goes up. I saw a guy trade DK Metcalf in my league. It's a Superflex league. He traded DK Metcalf for something. I forgot what he traded him for, but it just didn't make any sense. DK Metcalf is a top-tier wide receiver. See, out of the top 12, right, you look at Cooper Kupp, Tariq Hill, Jamar Chase, Deebo Samuel, Devonte Adams, Hollywood Brown, Michael Pittman Jr., who is a gem and a stud this year, DK Metcalf, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, DJ Moore, Robert Woods. Out of these 12, if I have to pick one guy that does not finish in the top 12, it's easy. You can make a case that DJ Moore does not finish the season as a top 12. But then you can make a case that DJ Moore does because of his target share. So at the end of the day, DJ Moore is commanding all the targets in that wide receiver room. Michael Pittman Jr., if you're playing Dynasty, that's a guy you want to go ahead and scoop. Hollywood Brown, all these young guys, all these young studs, Deebo Samuel. These are guys that you go ahead and scoop, and you swap out some of these older guys. You go ahead and you trade. If you're playing Dynasty, you go ahead and you trade the DeAndre Hopkins of the world to get a young stud and a draft pick, maybe a first or a second. You go ahead and you if you're playing Dynasty, I'm telling you, the wide receivers out of this top 24, I'm looking at Jalen Waddle. He gets a lot of targets. We don't know if Deshaun Watson ends up in Miami. So you can go ahead and buy a Jalen Waddle and just hold on for next year and see what happens. Terry McLaurin, obviously, he's a guy that flirts with top 15 numbers, top 12 numbers, but because of the lack of quarterback play in the last 2 weeks being very bad, he's dropped to wide receiver 20. Even though they're playing a tough Buccaneers team this Sunday, I expect Terry McLaurin to have a good game versus these guys. Robert Woods, he's a guy who started very, very slow. A lot of us were very mad at the production that Robert Woods was giving us. But now, as you can see, Robert Woods looks great. He's tearing it up, and slowly but surely, he's in a top 12 conversation once again. So Robert Woods is definitely a buy low candidate right now. Well, it's not a buy low candidate anymore, but that's definitely a guy that you want to go ahead and trade for. I remember when I started doing these streams earlier on this year, and I was telling you guys, get rid of Robert Woods. Now I'm telling you guys, go buy Robert Woods if you can. Trade for Robert Woods if you can. He's going to be one of those guys that ends up as a league winner for you. CeeDee Lamb is going to take over this Dallas Cowboys wide receiver room as the number 1 wide receiver in that offense. I'm telling you guys, CeeDee Lamb, he's a stud. He's only going to get better. Amari Cooper continues to decline slightly, and then CeeDee Lamb continues to ascend. So CeeDee Lamb is definitely another guy that I would start. He's a must start every single week. Keenan Allen has been picking it up more and more and more. I don't like the old heads. Guys like even Adam Thielen and DeAndre Hopkins, Keenan Allen, those guys, Diggs. I won't call Diggs an old head, but he's one of those, established wide receivers, right? Out of all these guys, the only guy that I worry about is DeAndre Hopkins. Is DeAndre Hopkins slowing down? Are the injuries catching up to him? Is the age catching up to him? So those are some of the things that you gotta really, really pay attention to with DeAndre Hopkins. He's been fairly healthy and hardly misses games, but there he is not playing. And then he played in that other game, or maybe it was 2 or 3 games ago, where he had to leave the game because of the hamstring. So you want to look at the trends. You want to look at players that you can trade, players that you can, try to get away from, especially if you're playing Dynasty. If you're playing Dynasty, it's a totally different ballgame. You know what I'm saying? You want to go ahead and target all the young guys, all the young studs like the Terrys and the CeeDee Lambs and Justin Jeffersons of the world, while you're getting rid of some of the older guys, so to speak. Out of like the older guys are the more established wide receivers. The only guys that I trust is Cooper Kupp, Tariq Hill, and Devonte Adams for right now because of the quarterback situation. You got to have the solid quarterback that goes with the stud wide receiver. That's really what's going on when you talk wide receivers. Stefan Diggs was safe coming into the season. Right now, Stefan Diggs has been questionable because that offense has not looked good. That stud quarterback has not looked good. So if you look at all these wide receivers right here, outside of DJ Moore, Terry, and a few others, maybe Brandon Cooks, all of these wide receivers right here have solid quarterbacks, except of a handful of these guys. Less than a handful. I can count them right now. Terry, right? Terrible quarterback. Brandon Cooks, terrible quarterback. DJ Moore, terrible quarterback. These guys, these 3 are special. Even though I'm not a DJ Moore fan, these 3 are special because they have shown that they can play with mediocre to less to good quarterback. We look at the tight ends, the top 12 right now. You see Dallas Goedert at the bottom of that top 12. CJ Uzomah just continues to just stay relevant. He's like right at that 9.6 points a game. So with tight ends, this year has been very, very deep. There's 17 guys averaging 9 points or better. It's never been that way. It has never been that way, especially in a very, very long time. Travis Kelce, a lot of people drafted him in the first round. He's averaging 16 points a game. He hasn't really been as good as we would have hoped for. But at the end of the day, he's still averaging 16.1 points a game. If he was a wide receiver, he would be the wide receiver maybe 14 right now. So it's not bad. It's not bad. I'm not saying that it's great. Sorry, I messed that up. If he was a wide receiver right now, he'll be a wide receiver 9. So, yes, Travis Kelce is still productive, but at the same time, he just has not been consistent. We can't really trust Patrick Mahomes right now. We don't know what's going on with the Chiefs. But if you didn't go all in and grabbed a Travis Kelce, Waller, or who's the other one? Kittle. Kittle's not on this list because he's been injured, right? Darren Waller is tight end number 5 right now. Okay, which is cool. That's fine. But guys like Dalton Schultz and Gesicki, these guys have just been amazing. These guys, and then Dawson Knox before the injury. Dallas Goedert has just been consistent. He's a good 10 points a game. He doesn't do anything too fancy. But a guy that you guys want to go ahead and pick up or trade for is Pat Friarmus. I think Friarmus is just tearing it up right now. If you look at the last 3 games, some massive, massive numbers, but no more than 7 targets. So it's kind of like, can Friarmus get more than 7 targets? Can Friarmus get more than 2 touchdowns, which he did last game? So if you started Friarmus like I did in a few leagues, you pretty much won. Noah Fant has been solid. He's been good when he's healthy. Hunter Henry has been a touchdown machine. Go look at the numbers if you don't believe me. He continues to score touchdowns. So the touchdowns is keeping Hunter Henry above water. It's keeping him in that top 12. Okay. Guys like George Kittle, he's going to rise as the season goes on. You see that if you go off of how much points are being averaged for tight ends, he's at 12.5, which would be technically in the top 5, possibly number 5, if he's averaging 12.5 a game. So these are your leaders through 9 weeks. These are your QB 1s and 2s, your running backs 1s and 2s, your wide receivers 1 and 2s, and your tight end 1 and 2s. I'm going to go through a few games. Run out of time. We're just going to go through a few games of, the NFL this week and who to start, who not to start in the Ravens and Dolphins game, right? I like pretty much everybody on the Ravens, from the Ravens defense, even though they've been giving up a lot of passing yards, but at the same time, Tua Tagovailoa might not play. So if it's Brissett, I trust that Ravens defense just a little bit. Hollywood Brown has been tearing it up. Rashad Bateman, I'm expecting a big game out of Rashad Bateman. I really am. Lamar Jackson continues to run the ball efficiently, 97 carries for 600 yards, 2 touchdowns. Even the passing game has improved. At the halfway point, he already has 2,200 yards passing, okay, and 13 touchdowns. By the end of the season, he should have 4,000 yards passing, right, and at least 26 touchdowns, right, let alone the rushing yards. So Lamar Jackson is doing Lamar Jackson-type things. On the Dolphins, I won't really stream anybody from the Dolphins. I don't trust anybody on the Dolphins currently right now. Maybe a Mac Hollins if you're playing in a deep league. He's been a decent wide receiver that has been getting tons and tons of work for that team. Gesicki, actually, I would play. Gesicki and Waddle, they're commanding a lot of targets, and they play into what Brissett likes to do, which is the short intermediate passes. So those two guys are excelling there. The Buccaneers versus Washington, start every single Buccaneer that you have on your team. Start all of them, okay? Every single Buccaneer that you have on your team is going to be successful versus this trash Washington football defense, okay? In terms of Washington, do not start Gibson. Do not start. You can start Terry. I mean, that's about it. Terry, that's it. There's nobody else that I trust on that offense or on that team even. So Terry is your safest bet. Gibson, if you're desperate, Gibson is more of a flex play, more of a running back 3 play this week. He's not an RB2 this week. If you don't believe me, go look at the last 3 weeks. Go look at the last 3 weeks. Gibson has not been good. He has not been solid. And then he's dealing with that shin injury as well. He was outsnapped by McKissick the very last game. And the team was coming out of a bye week, and right now Gibson is not even practicing fully. He's on the side limited. So do with it whatever you want with this information. We go to the next game, the Falcons versus the Cowboys. Man, Matt Ryan is hot right now. He's hot right now. He's tearing it up. He's over 2,100 yards passing and 15 touchdowns. I think he's going to have a great game versus the Cowboys. The Cowboys defense is overrated. Yes, I know that Trevon Diggs is out there doing his thing. They're not that team. They're not that team. Trevon Diggs is not that dude in terms of shutting somebody down. He gets into the passing lanes and makes some plays here or there. CeeDee Lamb, like I said, guys, has been amazing. He has 41 receptions right now for 632 yards, 4 touchdowns. I am expecting CeeDee Lamb to have a huge game this week versus that terrible, terrible Atlanta Falcons defense. But the Atlanta Falcons have been playing some inspired football. So, I mean, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. Ezekiel Elliott, he's kind of banged up right now. So I don't know what to think of his production for this game. But all I do know is that the Falcons defense is pretty bad, and you can get away with starting 3 or 4 Cowboys this week. Obviously, Dak Prescott is going to tear it up. It's going to be a potential shootout. Let's see what Matt Ryan does. I am starting Matt Ryan over guys like Tannehill, over guys like, Mac Jones. I'm even starting Matt Ryan over guys like Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's coming off of an injury right now. I can't trust Russell. I got to see what he looks like, Injury on the throwing finger? Come on, man. I'm not going to start you on your first game unless I don't have a choice. Now, the Titans and the Saints game, obviously Alvin Kamara, he's the big fish. But Alvin Kamara is injured right now. It's something to monitor. I don't know how serious the injury is, but today is Wednesday, and he did not practice on Wednesday. So take with this information and do with it whatever you want to do. If Mark Ingram is available in your waiver wire, scoop him up right now before it's too late. Ryan Tannehill, he could have a good game. He could have a bad game. It's going to be in Nashville. The temperature is going to be good. This is going to be 54 degrees. So it's not like it's going to be freezing. You know what I'm saying? So I expect Ryan Tannehill to have a good game with either A.J. Brown or Julio. Marshawn Lattimore is a beast. I don't know who Marshawn Lattimore is going to gravitate towards, right? But at the end of the day, I'm telling you guys, I'm expecting Tannehill to put up some points because now it's go time. Joe Bo, what's good, man? Appreciate you hopping on the stream, man. Let's get it. So let's talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Colts. The Colts, like I told you guys, are red hot right now. Carson Wentz is tearing it up. 21 plus 100 yards passing. He has 17 touchdowns. I'm expecting Carson Wentz to go for another 3 scores this week versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. You're probably thinking, okay, if the defense is so bad and the Colts might be up with the lead and everything, everybody thought that same thing versus the New York Jets. What did they do? Carson Wentz kept on throwing the ball. You know what I'm saying? They put up, 40-plus points. So I'm not saying they're going to put up 40 plus points this game, but I am expecting Carson Wentz to have at least 2 passing touchdowns. I'm calling 3, but I can definitely see 2 because Jonathan Taylor also gets involved in the passing game as well as Nyheim Hines. Jonathan Taylor could possibly go over 1,000 yards total. Right now he's at 821. It's possible. It's possible he can definitely go over that 1,000-yard mark. I mean, this guy's tearing it up. 8 touchdowns. He can score a couple this game. Michael Pittman Jr. has been one of my favorite gets this season. I have him all over my dynasty leagues. He's tearing it up. So Michael Pittman Jr., he's definitely a guy that I like. I like him a lot. And I think that he has a huge impact come Sunday versus the weak, the trash Jacksonville Jaguars. As far as the Jags, the only player that I might consider starting from the Jags is nobody. Not even James Robinson. I'm only going to start James Robinson if I don't have another option. He's coming off an injury. We don't know how healthy he is. We don't even know if he's even fit to play. We don't know. We move on to the next game. You got the Browns versus the Patriots. The Patriots defense has been hot, but so has the Browns offense. Now, Nick Chubb is the big fish. He has COVID. He has to pass. He has to get 2 negative tests back to back. I don't know if he plays. It's a long shot, but D'Ernest Johnson should tear it up this week. I picked him up when Chubb first got hurt, and I never dropped him. I thought I did, but I'm so glad that I kept him. So I'm definitely starting him in 2 leagues that I have him in. Mac Jones has been solid this season, 10 touchdowns. He just checks the ball down. Mac Jones is a good number 2 option if you're playing in a Superflex league. Damien Harris, I don't know about this one. Right now he has 547 yards rushing and 7 touchdowns. He's on pace for 1,000 yards, 1,200 yards, and 14 touchdowns this season. I don't know if he reaches those numbers. But one thing I can tell you about Damien Harris is that when they get into the goal line situation, he's the guy that they trust running the ball at the goal line. Jacoby Myers, Lord bless his soul, man. This guy has 46 receptions for 434 yards. He can't score a touchdown. He can't get into the end zone. All he continues to do is get 2-point conversions. Maybe this is the week that he gets into the end zone. As far as if Nick Chubb plays or doesn't play, people have been asking me, do you start the New England defense? I would say no, just for the simple fact that that Browns offensive line, they just paid 2 guys this week. They have the best offensive line in football, and it doesn't matter who you put back there to run the ball. You can put me back there to run the ball, and I might get you maybe 1.5 yards. I might get you 1.5 yards on 1 carry. But the point is that they created that hole for me to get that 1.5 yards. So the Browns offense should be fine. Baker Mayfield should be in the middle. I see Baker Mayfield as like a QB 22 this week. So temper your expectations in the passing game. Everybody's saying Donovan Peoples-Jones, whatever. At the end of the day, the Patriots still have a pretty good defense. So if the Browns are going to have success in this game, it's going to be the run game and the play action. So, whoever you want to start from that matchup, you go ahead and do it. I'm staying away if it's not Nick Chubb or D'Ernest Johnson. Other than that, I'm not really fooling with anybody, not even Damien Harris. I'm not fooling with him this week. The Bills and the Jets. Bills and the Jets, man. I don't know what to tell you about the Bills and the Jets because the Bills used to be good. The Bills used to have a really high prolific offense, something that was exotic, something that we haven't seen before with Josh Allen being able to pass as good as he's able to run, right? But this year, I don't know what's going on with Stefan Diggs. 48 receptions, 588 yards, 3 touchdowns. Everybody was saying Diggs is going to be the number 1 wide receiver again. It hasn't happened. It has not happened. So I don't know what to tell you. Devin Singletary, he's been solid, but he hasn't been great. Zach Moss, solid, hasn't been great. So I would start, obviously Stefan Diggs, you got to start him. Josh Allen, rock with him this week. If he gives you another dud, get you a nice backup quarterback and just kind of stream your quarterbacks. As far as the Jets, Mike White stepped up 2 weeks ago, played a great game, would have had another great game or good game versus the Colts. Ended up with 95 yards and a touchdown. As long as Mike White is playing, start Ty Johnson, start Michael Carter, start Elijah Moore, and maybe even a Jamison Crowder, as long as Mike White is the quarterback. Had a conversation with a guy today on Twitter. Zach Wilson is just not ready. I'm a big Zach Wilson fan, but he's just not ready. Mike White makes that offense tick. It gives you some juice. And as bad as the Bills played, expect for the Jets to score a good 21 to 24 points. I'm just saying. So if you're going to stream the Bills defense, temper your expectations because Mike White is not bad. Mike White is actually better than Trevor Lawrence, right? Mike White is better than any rookie quarterback right now, currently. So take with it whatever you want with that information. I know I saw a comment. Let me go ahead and read that comment real quick. Justin says, who do I drop? Schultz, he's my number 2 tight end, or Rob, Daryl, Gallup, A.J. Dillon. I need to drop 2. If I had to pick somebody to drop out of this group, then they'll probably be Darrell Henderson and Darrell Williams and possibly Gallup. That's the question. So I would go Darrell just because CHE is designated to come back, and Gallup, who really don't know his role in that offense as of right now. So those are the 2 guys that I would drop. Moving on to the next game, you got the Lions and the Steelers. For the Lions, I'm going to make this real short and sweet. Start Swift, and Swift. That's it. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, obviously Deontay Johnson, Najee Harris. Those are the only 2 that you can trust. Claypool is dealing with an injury right now, so I don't really know if he plays as of right now. The Lions did claim wide receiver Tyrell Williams. Was it Tyrell Williams? Sorry. It was Reynolds. Reynolds from the Titans. He was dropped. Sorry. Yeah, so the Lions claimed Reynolds. I don't know if he has a role this week. Jared Goff has been so terrible. Under 2,000 yards passing, 8 touchdowns, and his interception numbers are not showing. It has to be terrible right now. It has to be hot garbage. The Panthers versus the Cardinals. The Panthers have P.J. Walker playing this week. Anytime, bro. So with P.J. Walker, he can be a stud, and then he can be a dud. This is why I say what I say. Pretty much anybody is better than Sam Darnold. Everybody thought that Sam Darnold was fixed, but Sam Darnold is just not a good quarterback. He's not. He's one of the worst first-round picks ever drafted, respectively speaking. So for the Panthers, obviously CMC is back. So he's going to make that offense a whole lot better. He changes the dynamics of the entire offense when he's healthy. DJ Moore, CMC. That's it. And for the Cardinals, you can rock with Kyler Murray if he's healthy. You can rock with DeAndre Hopkins, obviously. Maybe a Rondell Moore if DeAndre Hopkins misses the game. Obviously, James Conner is going to be good. If you're playing deep leagues, keep an eye on Eno Benjamin and see what he does. But I do have him in Dynasty stashed. Next game, we got the Vikings and the Chargers. This game right here has the potential to be a shootout. For us fantasy owners, for us fantasy players, we love the shootout games because these are the games that you get tons and tons of points, especially when you need these guys to score. So I'm looking at Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, and Kirk Cousins to all have great weeks this week. Justin Herbert has been amazing, 18 touchdowns passing this season. I expect Keenan Allen to go off. I expect Mike Williams to be serviceable, and I expect Austin Eckler to have a big game. Look for Austin Eckler to have maybe his most receptions that he's had all season this game versus the Minnesota Vikings. I really like those odds. You have the Eagles versus Broncos. I'm not messing with much Broncos players. Like Bridgewater, terrible. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been terrible numbers-wise, fantasy-wise, but he's real basic. He's real basic. He just gives you the least amount of, points. Cortland Sutton, he's solid, but he doesn't score touchdowns. So do you start them versus the Eagles? I don't know. Noah Fant is back off of the COVID list, so the Albert O hype kind of dies down. Then you have Jalen Hurts, who's giving you 2 duds back-to-back. What do you do there? This guy has his highlight is 83 carries for under 500 yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. So does he run the ball? Is he effective? That Broncos defense has looked good 2 weeks in a row. So I really don't know what to tell you when you're talking about Jalen Hurts. But I think that Jalen Hurts is still a top 12 quarterback. He's just safe. He's a safe top 12 quarterback because of the rushing work that he does for the Eagles. So, yeah. Outside of Jalen Hurts, are we going to trust Jordan Howard this week? Do you trust Jordan Howard? I don't know. Hey, yo, bro, I got a question about a trade. What's good, man? Appreciate you hopping on the stream, man. Yo, Matt, what's good? What's good? All right. So 30 Mad Max 23 says, I have Keenan Allen, and someone sent me a trade. He offered D-Hop and the Giants receiver, Kadarius Toney. Is this good? Absolutely. I'm definitely taking this deal. So somebody's giving you DeAndre Hopkins and Toney for Allen, and you're asking me if you should take this? I would have been smashed that accept button because it's a great deal. I think that D-Hop and Keenan Allen are about the same, right? And then Kadarius Toney is just extra icing on the cake. So, yes, that's definitely a trade that I make. Smash that accept button right now. Would you trade Austin Eckler and Hollywood Brown for Tariq Hill and Elijah Mitchell? Oh, man, this is tough. Eckler's my favorite running back. Tariq Hill's my favorite wide receiver. But if you ask me who's the better player out of Tariq and Eckler, I'm going Tariq. So I'm gonna go Tariq and Elijah Mitchell over Eckler and Hollywood Brown. Even though Hollywood Brown has been killing it, but I still think that Rashad Bateman is gonna step up to get to the level to where Hollywood Brown is right now. So, when Bateman rises, Hollywood could go down. Elijah Mitchell has been solid 12 to 19 points every single week. So there's that. And then Tariq Hill has those games where he can explode for 200 yards receiving and 14 catches, 2 or 3 touchdowns. So, yeah, Tariq Hill is the best player in fantasy football right now. And you do everything you can to get Tariq Hill. So, yes, I would definitely make the deal. Yeah, that's just me. I just like Tariq Hill that much. And then you can always find an extra wide receiver from the waiver wire. It won't give you Hollywood Brown type numbers, or you can find a running back, but I think it's a fair deal. It's a fair deal. It's a solid deal, especially if you are a big Tariq Hill fan like I am. That's just me. Many people won't do this deal, but I would, just because Tariq Hill is my guy. But I will also make the same deal for Austin Eckler, because Austin Eckler is my guy. So there's that. We got 2 more games to talk about, 3 more games, and I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. We got the Seahawks versus the Packers this week. I like Russell Wilson coming back, but I don't trust Russell Wilson this week. I don't trust him this week because he's coming off of that injury on his throwing finger. Geno has been terrible. Aaron Jones has not gotten the ball. Like, what is going on with Aaron Jones? He's still a very good running back. And if you look at the chart that I have put up, Aaron Jones is RB what? Where is he? Aaron Jones is RB8. So Aaron Jones is still very good and still very relevant, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Aaron Jones. He needs to get the ball versus this Seattle Seahawks defense. DK Metcalf, I'll play him. I'll play Tyler Lockett. I think Tyler Lockett's stock goes up, even though he had a good game the last game. But the last few games, he hasn't been good. He's been inconsistent. That's who Tyler Lockett is. Devonte Adams is that guy. As long as Aaron Rodgers plays, you're expecting a big game. You can look at 150 yards, maybe 10 receptions, and because Devonte Adams' touchdown numbers are so low, Devonte Adams could go off for multiple touchdowns this week versus the Seahawks, and it could be a potential shootout. You go to the next game, which is the Chiefs versus the Raiders. Obviously, you start all your Chiefs. Don't let Mahomes being bad derail you from not starting him. Darrell Williams is out there. Start him. If CHE is not back, start Tariq Hill, start Mahomes, start the whole 9. Kelsey, all of them. As far as the Raiders, Derek Carr, obviously. Hunter Renfrow is solid. Then let's see what happens with OBJ. OBJ still has not selected his team. Once he selects his team, it changes everything. The Rams versus the 49ers. You start every Ram known to man, from Stafford to Henderson to the whole 9. Cooper Kupp has been amazing. Robert Woods has been amazing. For the 49ers, I'm rocking with Jimmy Garoppolo if I need a desperation play quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo has been the highest scoring quarterback the last 2 weeks. If you don't believe me, look at the numbers. Jimmy Garoppolo has been the highest scoring quarterback the last 2 weeks, and I believe this is a game that they need. The 49ers need this game to be relevant, so they're going to play hard. If they play hard, I'm expecting big numbers out of Jimmy Garoppolo. Also, Brandon Ayuk is finally coming back to life. So with Ayuk and Debo, you could expect something special out of this offense, including Elijah Mitchell, who has been pretty good so far. So this wraps up the show. I hope you guys enjoyed it, man. We had a lot to talk about. For those of you guys who came in late, you guys can go back and catch the replay. Appreciate everybody who supports the channel. Like always, this is the Talking Sports with Manny YouTube channel. If you're ever interested in becoming a channel member, you can join right there. I will be back at some point, maybe Thursday night, maybe Friday night. I'm not sure as of right now. I would come on to talk some NFL, have some guests on to talk about this crazy week called Week 9. There was a lot of stuff that happened. I'll just go ahead and make it a live show. We can also talk some more fantasy just in case you guys have some more questions. All right, guys, I'm going to catch you guys on the next stream. We out. Peace.